I didn't open the letter when it arrived. I left it on the kitchen table, still sealed, snow melting off the envelope like tears it hadn't cried yet. If I had known that those words would become the last conversation I would ever have with my mother, I would have read it 100 times that night. But I thought I had time. I always thought I had time. That was my first mistake, the letter that waited. Christmas had never felt quiet before, but that year it moved like a whisper through the house. The kind of silence that presses against your ears and reminds you of everything you're trying not to think about. My mother had been sick for months, though she insisted on calling it a stubborn little thing. She smiled through the pain, wore her favorite red sweater even when it hung loose on her shoulders, and told me not to cancel my plans. "You're young," she said. "Life shouldn't wait for illness." So I listened. I went back to the city. I worked late. I answered her calls with short reassurances and promises of soon. When the letter arrived, handwritten, my name carefully curved across the front like it always had been when she signed my permission slips as a child, I smiled and set it aside. I told myself I'd open it on Christmas morning. Something special deserved the right moment. That night I dreamed of our old living room from years ago. The tree glowed too brightly, ornaments reflecting memories instead of lights. My mother sat on the couch, younger, healthier, holding something white in her hands. She looked up at me and said my name the way she used to when she was disappointed but trying not to show it. I woke up with my heart racing and the strange feeling that I had forgotten something important. Christmas Eve came and went. Snow piled against the windows. The house stayed empty. I didn't go home. I told myself she was resting. I told myself tomorrow would be better. The phone rang early Christmas morning. Hospitals have a way of stealing the air from your lungs before you even arrive. By the time I reached her room, the machines were quiet, the room too clean, too still. She looked peaceful, like she had simply stepped out of the moment and left the rest of us behind. The nurse handed me a small stack of belongings, clothes, a book, and one thing that didn't belong there, a pen. That was when I remembered the letter. I drove home through falling snow that blurred the world into soft white nothingness. My hands shook as I picked up the envelope from the table. The seal broke too easily, as if it had been waiting for me long enough. Her handwriting filled the page, steady but slightly slanted, like she was tired but determined. She wrote about Christmas mornings when I was small, how I used to wake her before dawn and drag her to the tree. She apologized for the years she was too strict, too worried, too tired. She thanked me for the person I had become, even though she knew I doubted myself more than I should. And then the words changed. She told me she knew her time was short. She said she didn't want tears or guilt, only courage. She reminded me that love doesn't end when a voice goes quiet. She said Christmas wasn't about being together in the same room but carrying each other forward. At the bottom of the page, she wrote one final line. "Please don't wait to open the next letter life sends you." I folded the paper slowly, pressing it to my chest, realizing that the greatest gift she ever gave me was something I almost missed, carrying her words forward the days after her funeral passed in a blur of casseroles, condolences, and well-meaning silence. People told me she would always be with me, but it felt impossible. The house echoed. The tree stood undecorated, lights still in their box, Christmas forgotten. One evening, while sorting through her things, I found a small wooden box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were letters, dozens of them, some addressed to me, some addressed to no one at all. Each one dated, each one sealed. She had been writing for years, letters for moments she knew she wouldn't be there for. My future birthday, my wedding, a day when I would feel lost, a day when I would feel strong. She had planned for my life even as hers was slipping away. I opened one at random. It said she was proud of me for surviving a hard day I hadn't lived yet. That was when I understood. My mother hadn't written her last Christmas letter to say goodbye. She wrote it to teach me how to live after goodbye. She knew I would regret waiting. She knew I would wish for more time. And she used her final strength to leave me something timeless. That Christmas night, I finally decorated the tree. I hung her favorite ornament at the center. I read one of her letters aloud. The house still felt empty, but it also felt full in a new way, filled with her voice living between the lines she left behind. Now every year I write a letter of my own, to someone I love, to someone I haven't forgiven yet, to myself. I don't wait for the perfect moment anymore. I don't assume tomorrow is promised. Because the last Christmas letter my mother ever wrote didn't end with her final breath. It became the beginning of the life she was still teaching me to live. And if you're holding on to words you haven't said, love you haven't shown, or time you think you still have, open the letter before it waits too long.